Hey guys, it's me, and I'm here for a quick disclosure. This video will be uncensored. There will be cursing. There will be possible triggers, mentions of suicide and depression. And there will be um, just general mentions of things that are very disturbing. So, if this is something that you cannot handle, please do not watch. And please just take the video to heart and don't use it for anything other than that. Thank you. Hey guys, it's Ashley here. And this video was not going to be my usual upbeat, um, bubbly, um, happy video. Already emotional, that's nice. If you can't already tell by the title, this is basically me discussing basically a lot of my journey, my inner pain, and this is me as you guys have never ever seen me before. This is gonna be raw, virtually unedited, just me with no walls up, no pretending, no secrets, just me being me in this moment. And a good question would be, who is Ashley to start off with? Ashley, um, Ashley is 19 years old, and she is a survivor. I'm gonna grab my tissues because I'm gonna cry. Of chronic Lyme disease, of autism, of depression, PTSD, ADHD, ADD, Hashimoto's, hypothyroid. A lot of things go into making up me. I would like to point out that I am not in my usual filming uniform. I have my messy hair that is not artfully styled. It's just up in a bun. It's the way I woke up this morning. I didn't bother changing it because I wanted to be real with you guys. I'm in my pajamas, which I've done before, but I'm not even wearing a bra. I'm kind of in that point of I need to be real with all of you, and this is how I walk around the house all the time. Probably looking a little bit like a nightmare. Yeah. I'm gonna start at the beginning because that's probably easiest at this point. I was born December 10th, 1996. I was born with the cord wrapped around my neck and a broken clavicle, which is basically your collarbone. And I had breathing issues, so I was in the NICU for the first 4 hours of my life. And thinking about that, it's kind of almost like I was destined to be a troubled kid. I was destined to have problems leading up to this point, and I was destined to face lots of struggles. I mean, of course, that's all speculation. I don't know for sure if that was a sign or not, but it feels like it could be, right? Now this is going to be a bit TMI, but I'm being really real with you guys in this video, and I just want for you guys to know. I want the awareness out there, and the goal of me putting myself out there like this to you is mainly just to bring awareness and hopefully some inspiration to people who may be watching me and suffering. And I just want you guys to understand that I can probably relate in some shape or form to anything you're going through. Granted, I am not going to pretend that I have been through everything the world has had to offer. I'm not even close. But I've experienced in my short time a very long list of diagnoses and symptoms and feelings and problems, and I just want people to be aware that you're not alone, because for a very, very long time I felt extremely alone in going through what I went through, and I still feel very much alone for, certain things. And the pain and the trauma of a lot of everything, it's just eating me alive, and this is as much for me as it is for you guys. So this is gonna be long, just buckle up. First of all, my nose is running, so basically I've been through the mill. I feel like I'm 100 years old. No, a couple 100 years old rather than 19. The basics are, my mother's a hero. She saved my life, literally and metaphorically. By the way, this is going to be really, really jumpy. I've experienced pain and suffering and grief and misunderstanding and loss of hope, amongst a lot of other things. It's just really, really hard for people to understand what I've been through when they haven't really been through it themselves. And as best as I can, considering my memory is not the best, and I don't remember at least half of my life, I'm just going to walk you through everything. And like I said, back to the beginning, back to the TMI that I veered off of. Ever since I was born, I have had chronic constipation. Major TMI, I really don't care. This is about awareness and about finding others like maybe something you've gone through yourself. I have been chronically constipated my entire life. It's caused me a lot of pain. I've been hospitalized from it. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because no one wants to hear about that. But the point is, very, very bad. So bad, in fact, that my colon and my large intestine went up through my rib cage. And actually, my shirt is pretty perfect for this. Who cares? No big deal, because this is me being really, really real, and I really don't care. It's not a big deal. This is me being real to you. Actually, it is a big deal, but I don't care. I don't care about, I just don't care. I have no care about this. I just want you guys to, yeah. So that lasted up until I was 17. I'm now 19, and we're just going to say a half for simplicity purposes. But my birthday's in December, and it's August 24th as I'm filming this, like 4 months away. Closer to 3 months at this point, but alright. So when I was 3 years old, I was diagnosed with Asperger's, which is a form of autism. And as a kid, I had no comprehension of emotion, which is really crazy to even imagine at this point in time, because now I'm so intuitive to other people's emotions. Even if they're not telling me something, I pick up, like, even if they're texting me, I could pick up on the little subtle differences on maybe the way they're wording things, or lack of emojis, or punctuation differences. And I can tell that that person is upset, and I'm just like, what's up? But back then, I had no comprehension of emotion. I actually had to go to classes in order to learn emotion. I had to go to, like, these social classes. My mom literally, like, could be screaming at me, like, absolutely furious with me about something, and I could be laughing. I think my mom told me I did that before. She would literally yell at me like I misbehaved, or I did something bad, and she was really, really mad at me, and she yelled at me, like, really loud, like, she could even get up in my face, and I could just laugh, because I didn't know the difference. I didn't know that she was mad at me. I mean, that sounds funny, but it's actually really serious. I mean, it's bad. I mean, I could have laughed when someone was crying. I mean, like, seriously, it did not matter to me. I did not have comprehension of emotion. So I went to classes for that. I had to learn emotion. I did not know how to behave around other individuals, like socially interact with people. I had to take social classes for that too. My mom called them friend classes. And actually, I remembered those classes. My mom used to bring these, like, these veggie stick things. They still have them in the stores. I don't even know what to call them. They're, like, in the chip aisle, and they're like these sticks, and they're, like, yellow, orange, and green, and they are, like, fluffy, kind of. They're, like, the texture of, like, those Cheeto Puffs. I actually really love Cheetos Puffs, by the way. But, like, seriously, like, they were next to that, and I actually really looked forward to eating them after my classes. And there used to be kids there, and they used to like, give us scenarios about about certain, like, social situations, and, like, how, and, like, they would give us options on, like, how are you supposed to react to this? Like, what do you do in this situation? And I remember we would have to tell them. And I remember I gave a ton of wrong answers, and I remember they'd always talk to my parents afterwards. It was probably because I was bad at it, but I learned. To this day, though, I still have major social anxiety. I don't like being around people I don't know, and meeting new people is a literal huge source of anxiety and stress for me. It makes my heart race. It makes me really, really fearful. It like ruins my ability to sleep. Because every time, like, I, like, close my eyes, like, I think about it, and, like, I cannot relax, so therefore I can't fall asleep. To this day, I still have issues with that. The first day of school, as a result, was also a really huge issue for me. When I would go to school, like, after a summer of being, me and doing me things, I would have to go back to school, which is a place where I was surrounded by people, most of which I was not friends with, nor did I know, nor did I even talk to. I kind of kept to myself a lot for the most part. I did have some friends. I tried to make friends, but it was hard for me to make friends because I was socially awkward as a kid. So school was a major source of stress for me in elementary school. As a result of that, I loved my teachers. They were all very, very good to me. I still have a great love and fondness for the people who helped me through that journey that part of my journey, because my journey is in legs, people. It's in legs. It's like elementary school through middle school and then through my chronic illness. And don't even say high school, because that did not happen for me the way it was supposed to. Um, anyway, in elementary school, I remember I had major special ed stuff. Um, I had like, I don't even know what to call her, but she was this, I guess I'm going to call her a therapist for a lack of a better term. It's not coming to me. But basically, like, there was like, I think there was like a day once a week. Okay, yawn. Because I also only slept like, I want to say maybe 5.5 hours last night, approximately. So I'm really, really tired. And that's also part of something that I'm used to, but it's painful nonetheless. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, she was like, I think it was like once or twice a week, she would pull me, and I think it was a couple other kids, it was like maybe 2 other kids out, and we would go, to this little like conference like room in the school, and it was really, really, really little. We actually called it the teeny tiny room. Oh my god, I haven't thought of the teeny tiny room in years. But we talked about a lot of different things. We played a lot of different like games that were like supposed to help us, and I really don't remember exactly what we did in the teeny tiny room, but I remember that it was it was something that I grew up doing throughout elementary school, and it was really beneficial for me. It was some sort of like therapy. I can't remember. And then I had these other people whose room I would go to in the event that I would be having a freak out in class over something. Because I would do that. I would freak out in class, or like I get really, really beyond overwhelmed and I'd be like losing my mind, and I would go to their room and literally I would sit there, and I think I had this like little like jewelry box. I'm pretty sure it was a jewelry box. And I remember that it was like one of those Lisa Frank ones, and it had like the felt so you could like color it in. So I remember like I would take my box, and I had stuff inside the box too. Like I had the markers for it in there, and I had like a couple other like things activities that I could do to kind of calm myself down and recenter myself. So I would go in there and I would take my jewelry box, and I'd either color on my jewelry box, or I'd do one of the other activities in the box, and I forgot all about that too. Like seriously, I don't think about this stuff often just because it's a source of great, turmoil inside me. My entire past is just altogether, it's a lot for me to handle, and as a result, I don't tend to go back there a lot. So I would go and I recenter myself, and then I go back to class. And the other thing was that I was extremely, 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 extremely sensitive to noise. So I remember a very, very specific time. I got better with that over time, but when the younger I was, the worse it was. All around. As I got older, I was better controlled. I was better, I was better emotionally. And like mentally, I could kind of figure things out a little easier because I had been taught how to do that, and I understood it. So I had to learn everything that's supposed to come to you naturally. I had to learn, how to read people, how to handle myself in public, how to make friends, and how to interact with human beings. Like, you would not guess that now, but it's true. I had to learn all of that. And on top of that, I had major noise issues. So as I was going to say, when school would have school auditoriums, in my school, what would happen is, in the elementary school, it would be from like the youngest grades, like kindergarten would be in the very, very front, right up in front of the stage. And then the 5th graders, which was the last grade in elementary school before you went to the middle school, would be all the way in the way back of the gym. So the older you were, the farther away from the stage you were. Well, the problem is, the closer to the stage you are, obviously this gym's pretty big. So the people on stage had to use microphones and like speakers so that the entire gym full of people could hear you. So, the younger you are, you're closer to the front. And the younger I was, the more sensitive to noise I was. So, I actually did not remember this happening until my therapist told me about it years later. And I was like, I did that? And she was like, yes. And then the memory came back to me and I was like, oh my God, I did do that. I couldn't believe it. But what happened was I was in kindergarten. Little baby, 5-year-old Ashley was sitting in the very, very front of the auditorium. And basically, the noise was way too much for me to handle. So you're probably going to find this funny, but it was actually serious. So I literally, like, covered my ears like this. It apparently wasn't enough because I decided that I had to take my shoes off. I took my shoes off one by one and I stuck them on my hands like gloves. And then from there, I jammed my shoes onto my face and I still could hear it. And it was way too loud. And the therapist that I mentioned before, she, like, saw me from inside one of the doors going like this. And she's like, Ashley, do you need to leave? Like, she came up to me and she's like, Ashley, do you need to leave? And I remember, like, I had my shoes to my ears and I just nodded. And she grabbed my wrist since my hands were occupied like this. And she took me away from the auditorium. And I don't think I went back there for a while. I'm laughing about it now because the idea of me with shoes on my head is kind of a comical thought, but seriously, I could not handle the noise. It was too much for me to handle. And I remember, I think she took me all the way down to the teeny tiny room, which is, like, pretty far away from the gym. After that, it was to my classroom. She took me somewhere far away from the noise where I felt comfortable enough to be able to remove the shoes from my face and then put them back on my feet. So, very, very, very problematic with noise. Now it's not as bad. Now I can tolerate some noises. Some noises I don't like. Some noises I still can't handle and I have to leave. For instance, concerts are not an issue for me. I like going to concerts, like Taylor Swift concerts I've been to a Maroon 5 concert. Concerts are okay. I don't mind them. The first concert I ever went to, I was really concerned about the noise. I was concerned it would be a problem, but it wasn't a problem. It was okay. So that was good. I'm trying to think. What's a noise that I cannot stand? Oh. Okay, when I was a kid, I went to this NASCAR race with my brother and my mom and her boyfriend and his son. We were like a family union at the time. Like, they lived with us. Like, us kids were all so sure that my mom was going to get married to this guy and we were all going to become a family. And that obviously did not happen, but that's okay. The point is, I went there and even with earplugs in, I could not stand it. I was bored out of my mind. The noise was way too loud. I was literally miserable. I wanted to go home. But I stuck it out. I took one for the team. I was surprised I managed through it because that 2 hours felt like the longest time in my entire life. Point is, I probably could never go back to a NASCAR race. Not just because I'm not interested in it, but because, no. Thunder is a noise that scares me, but it's not necessarily because of the noise, like the loudness aspect. Granted, the louder it is, the more freaked out I get, but it's just an irrational fear of mine. I don't know if that's linked to my autism or not. I don't know. Noise is no bueno sometimes with me. I cannot really think about it at the moment. What, like, actual man-made noise disturbs me. I know there is one, but it's not coming to me. It'll probably come to me later, but I'm not going to dwell on it because we don't really have time for that because I'm just going to ramble for at least an hour at this rate. Because we're still in elementary school. Anyway. So also in elementary school, I think this started around like 2nd grade or so, that I noticed that sometimes, I would say something, for instance, I don't know what I would say, but I'd say something, and, the kids in my class would laugh at me, and I didn't really know why they were laughing at me, and I didn't really understand, like, I didn't really comprehend, like, why, like, what was funny, but at the same time, there was something that felt really bad about it, it wasn't a good feeling. I knew that it wasn't good laughter, is my point. I knew that it wasn't positive. I just didn't understand what was going on. And flash forward to like 17 years old, and around that time, like 17, 18, I was having a lot, and I mean a lot, of like realizations from my childhood. Because when you have autism, I don't know if this goes for everybody because I've not spoken to many people, about the specifics of autism, but for me at least, now that I've grown out of the clinical diagnosis of autism, yes, I still have some of the lingering aspects of it, and I'll go into that later, I'm sure. But like, now that I've kind of grown out of that and my mind is, functioning, I'm going to say quote unquote normally, even though I really don't think autistic people are that much different than us. There's just a little bit more heightened sense. Their sense is a little bit more heightened and sensitive. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, that also happens to me, by the way. That's something that my Lyme disease did to me. But again, we'll have plenty of time to go into that later. Excuse me. So what I kind of describe it as is, as a kid, I kind of saw things like as if I had like a kind of a film draped over my brain and my eyes. There were things that were, familiar to me, but I had trouble comprehending them. And that is one of the examples. I have like something going down my throat. That was one of the examples of, through like 5th grade, I would say, like I would have people, have negative attention towards me. They'd laugh or they'd make comments and they'd laugh, and I didn't understand what was going on at the time. But I knew that it was bad. Like, I knew it was not a positive reaction. It unsettled me. So forward back to 17, when the film has since been lifted, and I realized that they were bullying me. And I did cry for that 9-year-old me who just wanted to make friends and just wanted to have a good time, and getting emotional now. She had no idea. The little Ashley had no idea, and my heart broke for the younger self of me, and I cried. I was so shocked. I sat there in shock for a few seconds. Like, I think it was like a solid at least 30 seconds. And I just sat there. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was stunned. And that broke and gave way to emotion. And I remember I cried because I felt so bad for myself. It was just one of those moments where it was like, oh my God. It was like one of those aha moments, because it didn't make sense to you, and it didn't occur to you for all these years as to what it was. And it finally occurred to me that I was bullied as a kid, and it was just kind of like, oh my God. Like, these kids were making fun of me. It was really hard. It was sad. So I looked at my entire elementary school time differently because I realized that I was bullied. And looked at differently as a kid, and I was made fun of because I was different from the other kids. So that was hard. And I was really angry at a few certain kids, because I also realized that one of them I really didn't get along with, so I kind of wasn't that surprised that he was part of it. But at the same time, there was this one girl who was like my best friend from like, I want to say maybe 2nd grade through like 5th grade, because 6th grade we kind of drifted apart, and I kind of realized that a girl that I called my best friend and spent a lot of time with, she was really, really awful to me as a kid. And it's just proof that kids can be really cruel, and it was just really, really sad for me. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much my elementary school block. Elementary school was taken up by being bullied, even though I didn't know it at the time, and learning. how to, behave and handle myself in certain situations, and how to socially interact with others, and stuff like that, and deal with my autism. And then there's one more thing. I, again, don't remember what I was going to say. That happens a lot to people who have had Lyme disease. You may be saying something, you may literally be in the middle of a sentence, and the next part of it's literally about to come out of your mouth, and then you'll just vanish, and you'll forget. A lot of the time it comes back to me later, but, literally, like, if I go to search for it, I will not find it, so I'm just gonna let it be, because I'm just not gonna waste time dealing with that right now. Anyway. Moving on to middle school. Middle school, 6th grade. 6th grade was, I was uprooted from the elementary school that I knew and loved and was used to, and I was picked up and placed into this bigger, unfamiliar, intimidating place where I did not know anyone. The walls and, halls and entire territory was unfamiliar. And people with autism have a very, 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 very huge thing with the inability to do well with change. Routine is very, very important, and familiarity is very, very important. And I'm still this way today. You cannot change plans on me. I'll understand. But, if it's something major and I didn't know about it, I'm going to get upset. Or if my day, I have my day planned. Let's pretend that I woke up at 10, like I usually do. And let's pretend that maybe I have to run errands at 11. I'll say that I'm going to come home at 1. I have to go to the grocery store or something. And then let's pretend that my friend's going to come over from 1 to 5. And then let's pretend that my mom's going to go out to dinner with me at my favorite restaurant. And then after that, we're going to come home and watch a TV marathon before I go to bed. Let's just pretend that's my day. Let's pretend I wake up at 10. That works out okay. But then let's pretend I wake up and I feel really, really miserable. So maybe I don't get out of bed and get to the store until noon. So that already throws my day off. So my friend's supposed to come over at 1 o'clock when I get home. Well, now I have to rush if I want to make it there. Chances are I'm not going to make it in time. So let's pretend I don't make it home in time and I'm not home until 1:30. That means I have less time with my friend that I really, really wanted to spend with her. I really wanted to spend time with her. So instead of a total of 4 hours, it would only be 3.5. It seems minuscule to you guys, but my friends bring so much irrational levels of joy and happiness to me that I really gratefully, really hugely need. So when I don't get to see my friends a lot, it really depresses me. So the fact that my time with my friend is minimalized, that's a big issue for me. Then, let's say my mom has to stay, in late for work. So she completely cancels our dinner date. And then it turns out she decides, that she wants to go to the gym after work because she needs to blow off steam. So we don't get to start our TV date until 7 o'clock at night, and I have to make my own dinner because I'm hungry, and my friend left early, and my entire day is just screwed up. That's a very, very, very tiny, detail. It's more when people start throwing stuff on me that I get overwhelmed, and then I have stuff canceling on me, stuff like that. That really, really bugs me. But that's kind of an example. It's a very minimized example, but it's an example, and stuff like that really, really bothers me because I have my entire day planned out, and I'm really happy with the idea of my day. It sounds like a very productive day. It sounds like a very fun day. But that day is suddenly completely demolished by unforeseen circumstances. And that's something that really, really irks me. I cannot handle that well. I don't like when things disturb my day. It's annoying and it's dreadful for me. That is something that is lingering from my autism as a kid. Back then, it was the same thing, except it was on a more grander scale. yes, I still hate going into unfamiliar places. And yes, I still hate going and seeing unfamiliar people. That's a huge stressor for me. I don't know why. The only excuse I can come up with at the moment is it's lingering from my autism. Social anxiety still lingers from my autism. General anxiety still lingers from my autism. Some noise issues still linger from my autism, but not as much or as great as they once were. And the whole change slash uprooted thing is a huge issue for me. So no. That's me. So when I'm placed into this middle school where I know none of the teachers, I do not know a lot of my peers because I'm a sixth grader. I'm a little itty bitty sixth grader, and then I've got my seventh graders, and then I got my eighth graders. And the thing with my middle school too is, in my school district at the time, I think there's 4 elementary schools now, but at the time there were 3 elementary schools. I obviously went to one of them. And then there were 2 others in which kids went to and grew up in, right? So in the middle school, there's only one middle school. So all the kids from all 3 elementary schools are all placed into the one big middle school. They all come together and they all form one giant class. I did not know the people from my school. A lot of them. I at least knew their faces and their names. But I didn't know them. So, that doesn't even count the faces I don't even know from 2 more entirely different schools that I'd never been to once in my entire life. Then they all are going to come together, and I don't know any of these people at all. It was a huge issue for me. I was placed into a new school, and on top of that, I did not know a lot of the people I was going to be going to school with. It was a huge source of anxiety for me. I would have much preferred to stay in the elementary school. I was really upset when I had to leave the elementary school. I did not want to leave the place that I was used to and understood and was comfortable with. And no, I had to leave. I really didn't have that much of a choice. I had to go to 6th grade. You have to go up your grade. When you pass your grade, you have to go up a level. There's really no choice in the matter. So I went to middle school. 6th grade was a year of transition for me and a year of great stress, obviously. 6th grade, other than the transition, there really wasn't anything major in 6th grade. I made some new friends, which was good and really awesome on my part. I was really happy about that. I made a new friend, and I really liked her. Granted, I'm not friends with her anymore because she turned out to be a colossal bitch. So, that's what happened. And by the way, when I said no censoring, I literally meant no censoring. I'm going to cuss as I want to, and I'm not going to bleep anything out. I'm like, this is at your own discretion. This is all real. All real, baby. No editing, no nothing. I'm not doing anything unless I have to. And by unless I have to, I mean, like, unless someone interrupts me, or, unless, my, like, computer runs out of space and it cuts me off, and then obviously I have no choice but to have a second clip, because there's no more space on the first one. Anyway, so yeah, she was my best friend up until, like, 8th grade, when she turned into a druggie. And she was mean to me, and basically I stopped being friends with her. But anyway, that's not important. So 6th grade was that transition year. 7th grade was much better because I had friends. I knew the people. I knew the teachers. I knew the school. I knew the whole, like, switching classes thing. I had that all down pat. And I had, like, it was familiar to me at that point. 7th grade was probably my best year of middle school. And the thing also about 7th grade year was, I don't know when, but I think in 7th grade I kind of started growing out of my Asperger's. So I also kind of saw myself blooming, beginning to bloom, and kind of beginning to understand myself a lot and come out of my super, super shy shell. That was a huge time for me, you guys. Huge, huge, huge. I'm going to skip through to 8th grade, though, because 7th grade was where I had my teeny tiny break. Very, very teeny tiny break. Because I only call it teeny tiny because it was sort of not a break at all. I only call it a break because I was going on my autism, and I kind of noticed that I was socially blooming, and I was making more friends, and I was much more comfortable in my surroundings, doing things I typically wouldn't do. And it was kind of hitting me. I was like, oh my God, like I'm actually doing this. Like I'm okay with this. I feel good about this. And seventh grade was a year where I was successful all around, and it was a great time for me. Um, I still was dealing with some of the issues of my autism, which is why it was only a tiny break, but I was coming out of it and I did really, really good. And I noticed it and I was so ecstatic. But fast forward to eighth grade.